So thank you very much for making some time to come with us today. Before we get started, there are a couple of things that I do want to share with you, and this is especially for the benefit of people who are watching us for the first time and are new to Augsburg. As Adrian said, my name is Suzanne Roos, and I'm the sales director here at Augsburg. And Adrian is our sales coordinator, and she's also our move-in coordinator. And so when folks are making a move to Augsburg, particularly to independent living, Adrian and I are the two people that you will work most closely with. We will spend a lot of time getting to know you and making sure that your move here is going to be as comfortable as possible. Sometimes that means a few weeks, and sometimes it means several months or maybe even a year before people move here. But whatever you need, we are here to help you. I do want to give a little history on Augsburg for people that aren't familiar. We are a continuing care retirement community, but we actually started out as an orphanage in 1892. So we have a very long, rich history in Baltimore County, but actually started as an orphanage. And in 1929, we moved to this lovely wooded campus here on Campfield Road, where we've been for 91 years. And it's been a really wonderful existence for us here. We have taken care of generations of families. And as a continuing care retirement community, what that means is that we offer several lifestyle options for people. It begins with independent living in an apartment style home. And then we also have assisted living and skilled nursing care, which includes short-term rehab and long-term care. And that's for people who need more support and care and medical services. So on our entire campus, we serve about 350 residents, and we employ just over 200 team members right now. And all of us are here to take good care of all of the residents who are entrusted to us. And one of the great things about my job here is that I do get to meet everyone who is coming to look at Augsburg and is a resident or planning to be a resident here. So I get to hear all kinds of stories, and I get to know all the residents very well. And today I am really delighted that I can introduce you to three of our independent living residents. Courtney, Tess, and Judy are all independent living neighbors. They actually live in the same building here in Augsburg. They live on the same floor. And so it's really nice that we were able to get all three of them to join us today for our webinar. And so ladies, if you want to join us now, you can turn on your cameras and your video so that we can have a little conversation. And I am going to introduce each of you to the audience so that they know a little bit about you. Tess, I will start with Tess. Tess has been here at Augsburg for about 5 years, and she came to us right here in Baltimore County. She's still very active with activities inside and out of Augsburg. And I call her one of our walkers. I see her often outside and usually with binoculars in her hands when she's outside. Tess is a certified wedding celebrant, and she is actually pursuing certification in funeral celebrancy right now. And Tess is actually one of 3 wedding celebrants that we have on staff, or not on staff, but as a resident, at least 3 that I'm aware of. So if anybody is moving to Augsburg and wants to get married, we have 3 people here that could do the job for you. Judy has been a resident here at Augsburg for about 3 years, and she moved here from a small neighborhood that was just about 15 minutes away from Augsburg, so very nearby. She retired from the real estate industry right before she moved here to Augsburg, which is fairly common when people are making that transition. And Judy is also one of our walkers. She loves the trails, the wooded trails that are here. at Augsburg. She's also one of our, I call her a courtyard garden tour guide, because we have a lovely courtyard here, and she also spends a lot of time helping out in our library. So that's Courtney, and Courtney, I'm sorry, Courtney is our third resident today. And Courtney has been here at Augsburg a little over 3 years as well. And one thing that I will share with you about Courtney is that prior to her moving to Augsburg, she spent a lot of time here, not as a resident, but as a frequent visitor. And she'll tell you a little bit about that shortly, but she really invested time in getting to know more about our community before she made that decision to come here. And I think it's a story that is worth sharing, and that you'll enjoy hearing from her. So Courtney is still very busy and active as well. And she always says how much she loves the small size of our community and the friendliness of all the residents. And I am really delighted, ladies, that you are going to share the next 45 minutes with us and with our audience. And so let's get started and tell us, each of you, just a little bit about your journey in finding Augsburg and how you got here. So Tess, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. I can't see you, but I'm happy to speak to you today. I actually moved here when I was still working full time. I found myself left with a big house, and I decided I just didn't want the responsibility of it anymore. And I was going to actually get moved to a condo. And I talked to my financial advisor, and he suggested that I think about moving directly to a continuing care facility. A lot of his clients who had done that seemed to be a lot happier. So I looked into it and decided that would be a good thing for me. I don't have kids. I have 2 nephews and a couple of godchildren, but it's not the same as having your own children. So I wanted to make the transition when I could make the decisions. So I started investigating. I came here to Augsburg twice. Actually, Augsburg had a good reputation. I had heard about them many, many years ago. I knew a couple who lived here many years ago. And then it happened that one of my neighbors, her parents had moved here as well. So I'd gotten some good information from them. And I came here and met with a couple people, came a couple times, came to an event, and decided to move in. And again, I moved in when I was still working, relatively young here. I moved here in my mid 60s. And it's a good thing to do, because the thought of now moving out of a condo and downsizing a second time is not something I would really want to do. So that's how I happened to come here. And when I came on campus, I realized that everybody spoke to you when you walked down the hall, which was really comforting to me. And I also appreciated the size of the community. It's not overpowering. It's small enough that you know pretty much everybody, if pretty much everybody, maybe not closely, but you know who they are, and they know you. And the staff was always welcoming. Again, the staff spoke and the residents spoke as you walk through the hallways. So that's kind of my story about how I got here. So
thank you. Thanks. Judy, do you want to share?
Sure. I'm, as Suzanne said, I'm from community. It's only 15 minutes away, and I can get back there if I want to fairly often because I have a car. In my community back 3 years ago, she's still, anyhow, was Mildred Forehand. And Mildred is a very positive person who, every time I would meet her when we lived there together, she would say, "You've got to come to Augsburg. It is the most wonderful place in the world." And I said, "Okay, Mildred, I'm not ready yet." Well, finally I was. My house was big. It had a sidewalk to be shoveled. It had grass to mow. And I just couldn't didn't want to do it anymore. So I picked up my cat, Cleo, who is right here next to me, and we came to Augsburg. And it has been an incredible experience. The first day I walked in the door, I remember that Chris Percy was sitting there, opened the door for me with this big smile and said, "Welcome. We're so glad to have you here." The move was amazing. The people here helped me with it so much. I was able to come and, of course, pick out my own apartment, pick out colors and rugs and everything that I wanted. Even have a screened-in balcony, so Cleo doesn't go out and get the birds, which cluster around here, and I love to feed as often as much. It's just been it's a community, and I moved from a very tight community, and I've come here and found a wonderful community. I think that probably right now is about enough.
Thank you. Thanks, Judy. Courtney, your turn.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, my situation is similar. My kids were grown and had their own place. And, when my kids were younger, it seemed like my house was too small. But then when everybody left, then it seemed like it was too big. And like Judy just said, I did not want the responsibility anymore of a house. And I had heard about continuing care facilities, and I just thought that they were so cool. So I started looking into them. I retired in 2011, and during that whole time, even before I retired, I started looking at continuing care places. And I found out about Augsburg, and I came here and I met so many people. And like Judy said, everybody was really very friendly. And I just enjoyed the fact that it was not too big, it was not too small. It was more of a family style place, and, very diverse. And the friendliness of the people, the willingness of them wanting to help you. If they saw you walking down the hall and you look confused, they would automatically just stop and help you get where you were trying to get. So I moved here in 2017, and I just love it here. But I had visited many different places, and I found Augsburg fit my needs
So
much
Courtney,
more than everywhere else.
Courtney, tell everybody about how you would visit Augsburg in prior to moving here. What was and this is a really good story, and it's something that a lot of people don't feel part of the research part of their searching for a community. I think what Courtney did was a great example of what everybody should consider doing. So Courtney, why don't you tell us what you did?
Well, I used to come up to all the different functions that Augsburg would have, where they would, send you invitations to come to lunch or to come to different things that was going on here. And I would always come, and I would come and have coffee hour, and I got to know a lot of people. But because this is such a huge move to sell your house and move in a place like this, I still would come up on my own. Just on nice days, I would get in my car and I would drive here. Now, I lived in Northeast Baltimore, so that was, pretty good little ride for me. And I would just come over and drive around the grounds. And when I would see someone moving about outside, I would call them and I would say, "Hi, do you live here?" And the people who lived here would tell me, if they was a resident and how long they've been here. And I would ask them how they like it here. And I got all good feedback from the people who lived here. And then I also talked to people who worked here. And I just got good feedback from everybody. And I think that was one of the things that also, helped me make up my mind, because these wasn't people who I met through Augsburg. These were people I just met on the grounds of Augsburg, and everything was really positive. So when I moved here, I already knew some of the people just from coming here so much, So
I think that example, it's almost like what people say when you're going to buy a house, you should drive through the neighborhood several times at different times of the day and see the kind of people that live there. And I think when it comes to retirement living, that is probably one of the most important things, that you find a community that is a good fit for you, that has the type of people that you would want to have community with, because this is most likely going to be the last move that you ever make. And you want it
Yep.
to be a place where you are going to be enjoying security, safety, companionship, and all those things. And I think too, it speaks to the type of community that Augsburg is, whereby some of those people would come and talk to you while you were driving through the community, that it's that kind of friendly atmosphere. And some of the people in our audience today have not ever been to Augsburg. And so they don't really know what we call the Augsburg Spirit. And so I'd love for each of you to talk a little bit about that, because it is something that makes us very unique, and how we do share that spirit here. Tess?
So-
Yep.
Sure. As a preface, I just want to say that making this transition is a really big decision. Was a really big decision for me. And there's a lot of emotion around it. If you decide to do this, make this decision, don't be surprised that you have all these mixed feelings. But the atmosphere here, I was immediately, there's a gentleman who was our hall captain, invited me to dinner. He called me actually at work, invited me to dinner the first night I was here. The first night I was here, I was one of the last people in the cafe, and another resident wheeled herself over and said, I always talk to the new people. And a half hour later, we knew each other's stories. That was a really unique experience for me. And I wasn't expecting it, but it was so helpful. So as I said before, when I came here, I was still working full time. So I wasn't here during the day. I'm retired now from full-time work, but initially I wasn't here during the day. So it took me a little while longer to meet people and to attend some of the activities. But it's just been life-changing for me to just have that responsibility of a home and everything that goes with it to be lifted, and to be in a place where I know if I want to talk to somebody, I can pick up the phone, or I can walk down the hall or walk downstairs and there's somebody. So yeah, I wanted to just say that, don't be surprised about the transition, but it's wonderful once you get on the other side of it. And there's a lot here to offer. There's just a lot here to offer. And I'm really happy that I made the decision to come here at the age that I did.
Perfect. Judy?
Well, I was just going to say, they don't hand us pom-poms and little short skirts to talk about the spirit of Augsburg.
Yes.
But we all know very soon that we're immediately a part of it. I don't know. It's just such a friendly, genuine, kind bunch of people. I've never been anywhere that I can think for a very long time where I have felt so welcome, and have so much variety and experiences. I think no matter where you are, who you happen to sit down next to, before you know it, not only have you heard a wonderful story, but you probably know somebody that they know. They call it small divorce, I believe. It's just amazing where those stories can lead. I just find it wonderful to be able to sit out and go to the library, or to sit in a chair that's in the hallway, and all of a sudden somebody appears, and the day becomes shorter because you have somebody to share with.
Nice. Courtney, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I'm just, I was thinking while they were talking, and they said everything that I was thinking, because that is the spirit of Augsburg. I mean, everybody is just so friendly, and anytime you leave out your apartment, chances are you're going to see somebody that's going to speak to you, and you might stop and talk.
What about people that are a little more introverted, Courtney?
Well, everybody is not outgoing like me. I will leave out my apartment to go outside, and it would take me forever to get there because I'll stop and talk to everybody I see, because I talk a lot. But everybody is not like that. And some people are, they're more to themselves. They like to stay in their apartment more, and they can do that too. People just don't bother them. If they want to be left alone, pretty much, then they are left alone, and they feel comfortable living like that because that's how they are, and you're allowed to be who you are here, and that's the good thing. I just really can't say enough good things about Augsburg, because this has been the best decision that I made for me.
Perfect.
So I'm
Perfect.
pretty happy here.
So Courtney and Tess, you both mentioned the fact that you were looking at continuing care communities specifically. And, a lot of people choose to wait and bypass independent living altogether and wait until they need care. And I always tell people, usually when you wait until you need care, it's a crisis. And then you're looking for something, to do. So, or a place to go, and it may not be the place you want to go. And I know that none of you have had to avail yourself of higher care here yet. But I did want to just talk a little bit about what a continuing care retirement community offers people. So in your cases, you've all moved into independent living apartments. And that means that you have the complete freedom to come and go as you wish. You still have your schedule of personal activities and things that you do. And you are able to participate as you wish in activities and events that are here. But if things change with you and your health, and you needed to move to a higher level of care, or you needed more support, there are things built in here for you. And whether it's having somebody come into your apartment to provide home care temporarily, that's an option. We will in November have an in-home care option here specifically for our independent living residents, called My Potential at Home, so that you all can remain in your apartment longer and safely. And then eventually, if the day comes that you need to move to assisted living or long-term care, you already as a resident have priority for that care. And I would believe that gives you great peace of mind. And that's one of the reasons why most people choose a continuing care community. They want that peace of mind for the future. So I know we do want to talk today a little bit more in detail about living here during 2020 and especially with COVID. But part of that is also talking about the reactions that you've had from family members and friends about your living here during this time. And I would love for you to share a little bit about what people have expected or told you their impression was of you here now during COVID.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start. I've always been interested in a continuing care facility. And the main reason is I wanted to live somewhere where I did not have to worry about my family taking care of me later in life. And so when I moved here, and many people thought, why should you move in a place like that? Because you're in your 60s. And my thing is, I want to already be here. And the fact is, living in a place like this, you still have the opportunities to do anything you want. You still can go out and have your life outside of Augsburg, and then you have all the activities here. And I know if something was to happen and I became disabled, I'm already here in a place like that. And my family, once I got here, made this move, and they saw how Augsburg was, they were happy too that I was in a place like this because they didn't have to worry about me. And somewhere down the line, it went from me being the parent to them being the parent. It's like they wanted to tell me what to do and where to go, and don't go out this late, and don't do this and don't do that. So I don't know how that changed, but so they are very happy that I'm here in a place like this because they know if something happened, I will have someone come in my apartment and help, or I can go to the assisted living. And if I'm worse than that, then I can go to the skilled nursing care. So that's a load off of my family's mind, but it also is a load off of my mind. It makes me feel good because I feel safe.
Great. I think we lost Tess on the video, but she is here on audio. Is that right, Tess?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to get the video on.
Okay.
My cables, my internet connection's been funny all day long.
That's okay. That's okay. We were just talking about, friends and family's reaction to you being here over the last 7 months with COVID, and what reassurances have they felt with you being here?
Yeah, this was an interesting situation because when I made the decision to come here, a lot of my friends who are around my age didn't understand it. And the reason I wanted to come is my story is very similar to Courtney's. I didn't want to be in a crisis and have to make decisions in the middle of an emergency. I didn't want other people to have to make a decision for me. I wanted to maintain as much control over things that I could. So that's the reason I came early. And many people said, you're not old enough. I said, well, when you think about it, I am. And I wanted a continuing care facility for the same reasons that Courtney did. You want to look ahead to the future. Just because you move into a retirement community doesn't mean that you're thinking about your end of life. You're thinking about what your future is going to be. And that's the attitude I took. Now, since COVID has been around with us for like how many months now, those same people are saying, wow, I wish I was in a place like you because I feel very protected here. I can get information when I need it. There's assistance here if I need it. I got tested here without any big problem. And all my friends who are still living in their homes don't have that kind of security or that kind of opportunity. So now they're saying, well, I think, I wish I were in the same situation as you. So it's been a complete turnaround since the virus has been here with us.
Yeah, I've heard very similar things, Tess, from people who, especially people that live alone and don't have any family nearby, that they are feeling very isolated.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for people to know that COVID has changed everything in the way that senior communities are going to operate going forward. We've heard all year that this is unprecedented and it's 1 in 100 years that this happens. So to be completely, transparent, everything that's happened here at Augsburg is happening everywhere in senior communities around the country. We're not unique. Everybody has had to deal with a response quickly with our priority is to take care of our residents. And in a community like this, that means that we have people in different buildings. And that is independent living. It runs a little differently than a nursing home setting does. But we are all connected here at Augsburg. All of our buildings are connected, but we can keep people separated. And so I do want to talk a little bit more now about what we did during COVID and what we're continuing to do to keep residents safe. And I welcome you, Courtney and Judy and Tess, to share your stories about things that, that you've witnessed and what you've seen here But for the benefit of the audience, I do want to talk about, you know, our response and how we have addressed safety and communication. So like most communities, spring was very challenging for Augsburg. And when you have a virus that no one knows what to do with and has all kinds of information coming at you, your first priority is to keep your residents safe. And so the first thing that we did was a lockdown. And that meant that we closed all of our entrances and had one point of entry for everyone. And we still, to this day, that is the case. If you are coming into independent living, there is one point of entry where you come in and out, and you have a temperature and temperature screening every day. If you are working here, you have a specific point of entry. Every day your temperature is taken, you have a screening form that you complete. We have COVID testing for staff every week. We have COVID testing for residents when that is necessary. During the height of COVID in the spring, we did wellness checks on all of our independent living residents. And essentially what that meant was that every day, I think it was for about 3 weeks, we were bringing a cart through the hallways equipped with a thermometer and a pulse oximeter, and we were checking on everyone. We were giving out water. We were making sure that everybody was eating and getting their meals delivered. Packages were delivered. They were all sanitized before they were brought to your apartment. And one of the things that I think was really extremely important was because of the quarantine that we experienced, we had to communicate with everyone. We had to communicate with our residents, we had to communicate with our staff, and we had to communicate with the families of our residents. And so, ladies, why don't you talk a little bit about that communication and how that impacted you while we were in especially during the spring. And that is an ongoing thing, but I think it's important for people to know. Tess.
Well, I can tell you that the Augsburg management has been totally transparent. So as the COVID situation developed, and there was real fear, I mean, what we didn't understand what was happening and how it was going to be transmitted, and all of a sudden it was so contagious. But Augsburg made us feel secure because they anticipated what we would not have to do, what we needed to do, and they found ways for us not to have to do it. But one of the most comforting thing was how transparent that they were about what was really happening here. We knew if somebody was sick, we knew if a staff person was sick, and we knew where we were in coming back to as close to normal as we could be. The communal dining was closed for a while, but now it's reopened. If I had to depend only on myself, living alone, it would have just been so frightening. And being here in a secure situation with people who made it their job to know what to do has made all the difference in terms of my anxiety level. So that's been just really important to me.
Judy?
Yeah, no, I would just say when I talked to friends on the phone, and of course during the COVID, that was my main source of communication. The question always is, how are you? How are you doing? And I almost felt guilty because I was doing so well. Things were just, as Tessa said, the transparency, the memos that we received on a practically daily basis made it so easy, and just, I don't know, I just felt really safe. Didn't have to go out for any reason, and we were provided with you could order groceries, which would be delivered. Your meals came every night. You had a chance to order still from 3 entrees and an amazing variety. And the kitchen staff, they just did an incredible job. And we still are. We're still getting the option of having delivery. It was just a very, very wonderful experience. I know that probably shouldn't talk about the COVID being wonderful, but in this place, I just completely felt confident and just feel very, very safe in it and secure.
Thank you. Courtney, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I feel the same way that they do. And most of the residents that I talk to here feel the same way. They feel like Augsburg like really took care of us. All our needs were met, and they followed all the guidelines. And I believe they went above the guidelines because we really felt safe and taken care of. And I mean, you're sitting here and they deliver your food right to your door to keep you from gathering, eating together with other residents. And my girlfriend who lives in a house, and she would have to wait for her family, to bring her food and stuff. And like um, Judy was just saying, she almost felt guilty because all her needs were met when people that she talked to was going through some difficulties. So I mean, in terms of taking care of us during COVID, and they have done a wonderful job, and they are still doing a wonderful job. I can't think of anything else they could have done that they did not do.
Absolutely.
With all the things that you guys have already said, with the testing and all. Yeah, they've been great. We felt very, very safe and still feel safe.
Good. That is really the main reason why people move to communities, is they want that safety, or their family wants that safety for them and that peace of mind. And this pandemic certainly tested everyone. We have had ups and downs, and even now we see communal dining has returned, but not everybody's comfortable coming out for that, and that's okay. And we still deliver meals. We have a convenience store that is on site, so we deliver convenience store items directly to people's apartments. We do Instacart shopping with residents so that their groceries can be delivered if they don't want to go out for groceries. So I think those are things that we had to do out of necessity, but what I think we're finding is that it is going to be services that we will continue even after COVID, because it provides a sense of that sense of security, that sense of meeting the needs of our residents, and that's the priority for us. I do want to pause just for a minute, Adrienne, and see if there are any questions that have come in from anybody so that we can answer those this afternoon.
Yes, we actually do have a question. It is not COVID related, but it is a really good question. And that is, what organized group activities are available here at Augsburg?
Okay, ladies, share.
Well, we have the library. We have a walking trail. We have a number. Oh my word! We have a wonderful person here, McKenna, who sets up weekly calendars, and there is just no area that we have movies. We have you help me to some of the other things. You can always find something to do. We have yoga, exercise. We have a garden which we can work in.
We have also a lot of educational opportunities that we've brought in-house. As prior to COVID, we did a lot of things. We could go off campus and take people to museums and off campus. But during this time, we've really looked more internal to online educational programming, or presenters who could come in and do small group events with everybody. I know we have regular game nights, movie nights, goodness, all kinds of things.
Bingo.
Bingo on Saturday.
Book club.
Book club.
There have been concerts on the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And we've also had themed events. We've had many themed happy hours and little celebrations where we could have them. And normally, Augsburg is a place where there is usually a lot of celebration. And when we can gather, and hopefully that will happen sooner than later, we have crab feasts several times a year for residents. Our holidays usually involve lots of families coming in. It'll be different, of course, this year, as it will be different everywhere. Tess, was there anything else that you wanted to add about that?
Well, we had a little mini Hun Fest a few weeks ago.
Did.
It was a lot of fun. Totally Baltimore.
Totally Baltimore. We do lots of things with music here, history. We have a lot of retired educators here, and we have a lot of people who are from Baltimore, and they are very proud of that, heritage and history. So there's a lot of cultural things that go on here.
We also have a resident run newsletter that comes out quarterly. We have a writing group.
We have a very active residents association as well.
Right.
That meets monthly and represents the residents, sends out the minutes, and is a place where residents can bring concerns and ask questions. And we've kept on going through all of this.
Yes, and everyone that lives here is a member automatically of the Residents Association, and that is really your voice to be connected to things that are going on. Along with the Residents Association, we have several committees that are made up of residents. So we have a food committee, we have a groundskeeping, we have a library committee. So there's travel, things that people can participate in as much as they want to, or as little as they want to. Let
me just say one thing.
Sure.
Suzanne has a wonderful program called Ambassadors, where she has residents who will have scheduled events and have a chance to sit down and be an ambassador to people who are interested in coming. And although that's on hold right now, this is I guess what we're talking about.
Right. Exactly. Adrian, any other questions?
So we did have a question about cost, and I thought that you might want to just let them know that you reach out to them directly.
Yes. So there is, and just to be, completely transparent, when you are looking at joining a continuing care retirement community, in most cases, you are going to find that there is a monthly fee associated with living there, and that is sort of like paying rent for your apartment and for services that are included with it. But there's also an entrance fee, and that is what brings you into the community and gives you priority access to that care for the future. So I will be sending out some specific information to you individually via email, so that you can have a list of our current fees and what's included, so that you have all of that information in front of you. So thank you for asking about that. One thing that I also want to talk about about our community that is special. We are a very inclusive, diverse population here. We are a faith-based community, and we are part of the Lutheran Church, but we have people who are of all faiths who live here. And one of the things that I find extremely warm and welcoming is that this is a community of people that welcomes all. And I would love it if one or two or all of you wanted to touch on that a bit, about the inclusive nature of Augsburg and the diversity that's here. It makes it feel more like a neighborhood.
It does feel like a neighborhood. Go ahead, Courtney.
No, I was just going to say how, diverse it is here. There's people here of all backgrounds and faiths. So even though this is a Lutheran place, there's all kinds of faiths here. Like I'm Baptist, and I go to my own church, but every now and then I go to the church here also. So I mean, you're free to practice whatever your faith is here.
Tess?
One of the things that was important to me when I decided on Augsburg was that it was faith-based, and that it was really based on mission and values as opposed to profit. And I'm not particularly religious. I feel more spiritual, so I'm not a Lutheran who wanted to come to a Lutheran place. But I felt that kind of foundation of an organization, particularly when it's dealing with people's lives, was really important to me, because I felt very confident about coming to a place that was based on values and faith.
I would certainly echo that, Tess. I think that it just shows every day, I think that I feel a very good thing about the people I meet, the difference in gender, color, friendliness. It's just an incredible variety. And we're very fortunate to have that variety, because we have wonderful conversations and share all sorts of commonality as well as differences.
Any thoughts that you'd like to share about the staff here who take care of you, who make sure that things are operational every day?
They all make
practically fall all over us with helping us. It's just amazing. It doesn't, I mean, there isn't anything that sits out that shouldn't be there, that isn't gone the next day. It's wonderful when you come from living by yourself to have things taken care of the way they are here.
One of the things that has struck me is how the staff finds out your name. I mean, it's one of the first things that they do, and you don't even know that they know your name, and then they're speaking to you using your name. And I think that's a testament to the kind of people that Augsburg hires and what they want to bring to their jobs, because they don't want you to be anonymous, and I don't want to be anonymous, and they don't want to be anonymous. It's really interesting that it seems like it's an organic thing. It just happens, but it's one of the most comforting things about being here.
It does. I think as a person, obviously I'm a staff person here, but it is really family oriented here. We do know everyone by name. You're not a number here to us. We know everyone's personal habits in terms of their favorite foods, and who likes ice cream, and who likes, candy, and who can't have candy, and all those little things. And the residents also know a little bit about us as staff. They make the effort to get to know us so that it is a more personal environment here. And I think it just makes it a comfortable place for everybody. And I know that we're kind of getting to the end of our discussion time here. So I wanted to just check one more time with the audience and see if anybody had any other questions. And if there aren't, I would like to ask Judy and Tess and Courtney, if you were going to give any advice to people who are watching today who think they might want to move to a senior community, and maybe hopefully Augsburg, whether it's within the next few months or 6 months while we're still dealing with COVID, or even next year when hopefully this is beyond us, what advice would you give them to find the right? What would they be looking for? What should they be looking for? What questions should they ask to make sure that they find the right place for them?
I think they should look around at several different facilities in different locations. And they should ask all the questions that, that they're concerned with. That they're concerned with now, or something that they think they may be concerned with later down the road. And Like I had said earlier, I would say just, cruise around the place maybe sometime and just, talk to people who live there. You don't know them, they don't know you. And, that will help you feel more comfortable, about the place. And once you compare, when you go to a lot of different places, then you could start comparing, the place that you think is going to fit your needs to where you think you're going to be happy living in. So, and then once you do all that, then you probably will come to Augsburg and you will be my neighbor. But I think that's what you should do. You should look around because, it's a big decision and it's a scary decision. See, I'm not scared now because I've already done it and I know it was a great decision. But, in the beginning, it's scary because once you make the decision, you don't know if it's really going to be right until you get here. So, yeah, that's what you do. And you will be my neighbor and I will be happy to meet you.
How could you be scared knowing these three wonderful people are here to meet you?
And if you're Courtney's neighbor, that means you're also going to be Tess's neighbor and Judy's neighbor because they all live near each other.
For you. There's a place for you right down the hall.
And they will be the official welcome committee. And really, it doesn't have to be a scary process and it doesn't have to make you feel uncomfortable. One of the things that I love most about my job is helping people get through this process. And Adrian and I are very, very interested in making sure that whoever comes here is going to feel comfortable and welcome. And we want you to know that the care that you receive during that entire move-in process is going to be extended to you once you're here as a resident. I think that, there's a lot of questions to ask there even now, though you cannot visit a lot of communities. Here at Augsburg, independent living is open by appointment for tours. And as long as we remain COVID-free, we have a very safe and secure process for hosting visitors for tours. And for people that aren't comfortable coming in person, I can do meetings like this with you or your family. We can do a virtual tour so that you can see an apartment while I walk through it live with you with a video so that you can see it and ask questions. You can also arrange to talk to some residents offline. So if you wanted to talk with someone other than Courtney or Judy or Tess, I could arrange that as well so that you really do get the same kinds of questions answered, the same experience that you would get if you were here in person. We don't want you to feel that it's not a safe thing to do. It is okay to move right now. If people are thinking about moving, we have a process in place and we monitor it very closely and we adjust when we need to. But I think that everyone should feel welcome and comfortable doing that. So ladies, I think we've come to the end of our hour and I really want to, yes, Tess.
Just one last thing. If I could just say one thing.
Sure.
Don't put off your decision. Take as long as you need, but don't put your decision off because it's a really important decision. It's your life that you're talking about, the quality of life that you're talking about. The sooner you can decide what's going to work for you, the happier you're going to be, and the less stressed you're going to be. So I think people sometimes start and they stop and all that, but take as long as you need, but go ahead and start working on your decision. Don't delay.
Good advice. Good advice. All right, ladies, thank you for sharing the rainy afternoon with us. And thank you to our panelists for talking a little bit more. If anyone in the audience has more questions that are specific to your situation that you would like to talk with me about, I welcome you to reach out to me. Adrian and I will follow up with you after the video today. We will also have a copy of this video, a recording of it available. So if you'd like to watch it again or you want to share it with someone, we can send that to you so that you can watch it. And if you are able to, we still have 2 additional webinars coming up in our series. Next week, we will introduce My Potential at Home, which is going to be our new in-home care agency right here inside of Augsburg. It will be available for our current independent living residents, but it is also available for everyone who lives in Baltimore County. So even if you're not living here yet and you or someone you know maybe needs some support in their home, My Potential at Home next week on Wednesday. Join us for that and learn more about that and how that's going to work. And then our last webinar will be on November 10th. And that one is a little different. We are actually talking to 2 family members, a daughter and a sister of 2 of our current independent living residents. And they're going to talk to you really about the perspective of helping their loved one find Augsburg, which is a little different than what you heard today because our 3 panelists today all selected Augsburg for themselves. So we're going to flip the table a little bit and talk to family about choosing a community and the experience that they've had as a family member of a resident of Augsburg. So again, I hope you join us. And if you can't and you want the recording, let us know. We can send it to you. I thank you so very much for spending this hour with us. I hope that you all continue to remain safe and well and wear your mask. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.